Join us, it's the EmpowerTalk Show.
Hey everyone, this is PJ Edmond. Welcome to the EmpowerTalk podcast. I'm grateful again just to bring you some information. Listen, I've just been thinking about things that all of us need to fix at some point. And as we manage gifting and ministry, or we're managing multiple priorities, how do we do that effectively? How do we make sure that we prioritize the things that are important? I want to talk to you a little bit about, do I deal with it? Or do I delegate it? Do I deal with it or do I delegate it? It's a question all of us have to handle because there's so much stuff to be done. And really everything is important. Nothing is secondary. Feels like there's not enough time in the day really to do what we have to do. And so we have to have some systems that work for us. Because many of us just struggle with this idea of trying to give things away that are very dear to us. And not understanding that once our hands are full, once there's something in this hand and something in this hand, we're going to need some help. And coming to that realization is probably the first thing that needs to happen when we talk about, do I deal with it or do I delegate it? Everything's dear to us, and I know when it comes to business plans and our entrepreneurial ideas, and anything that's important to us, that's dear to our heart, sometimes it's a struggle just to release it, to involve others in what it is that we have to do, because our standards are our standards. We want things done the way that we want them done. And while that might be admirable, it doesn't speak to effectiveness, though, because you're an individual, and you can only achieve certain things on your own, which is why teams are important. This is why alliances are important, networks are important, connections are important. But understanding when and how to use those entities, those lifelines in our lives is always critical. We know what it is that we want to achieve, and sometimes even though we set priorities, we run out of time because we're not quite sure how to get this done. The first thing I think that needs to be dealt with is to really be able to not only notarize but notify and to list, what is it that's key to the operational, to the function of what you want to do. Sometimes we're all over the place because we haven't set priorities. We haven't set an order, and everything that comes to that affects business or our lives has everything to do with discipline. Right? How orderly are you? It's got to be arranged. It's got to be. You're not even going to be able to seek help or even think about delegating unless you understand what it is that you're handling. Sometimes our vision stays in our head and our ideas stay in our head, and we're so full of excitement. But if you can't articulate that or explain that to someone else, it's going to be real hard for you to get any sense of energy and achievement, because your priorities are within, and we need to make sure that we present them in a way that others can follow us. And so the order of things and setting priorities is key. We know. Make the priorities visible. Sometimes, again, we carry so much stuff in our heads, and we make notes here and there, and we have a multitude of notebooks. But we have to set our main priorities in front of us so that we understand here is what is essential. And understanding what is essential and what can be shared is an important part of how we need to do this. So let's be clear about what the goal is. Sometimes if you don't know what the target is, you never hit it. If you never have a goal, you'll never get there. And if you never realize what it is that is essential and important, what is foundational in achieving anything that we have in life, it's going to be a little bit difficult to achieve this, all right? So you got to settle down. You got to ask yourself, now what's key? Because talk about this, write this out as if you were training yourself. You'll never, don't even think about sharing it with anyone else yet, because that's going to cause all kinds of distress. But think about if you had another person like you, what would you share with them? How would you train them to be essentially to assist you and be helpful to you? Because at some point in time, you're going to need help, and recognizing that you need something else. Recognizing that delegation is not your enemy. Delegation is your friend if you know how to use it right. We're so accustomed to dealing with everything right? Everything that we handle everything because we know how we want it done. And part of this is a desire to make sure everything is excellent and handled, and we do it all. And because we've done it all, especially when you're in a startup business or in a startup franchise or something that you're building, because you've had to, because you've had to put your hands on everything, then it becomes habitual to keep your hands on everything. But understand that if you do that, if you isolate it to just you, while you're going to make progress, the progress is going to be slow. And while you're going to make some headway, it is not going to be as essential as if you had a qualified, motivated, trained team around you to make sure this is done. So first of all, think about what is it that makes this thing run. There are certain things that are essential to your business, certain things that are essential to your life. What are those areas? What are those mainstays? Sometimes we can get caught up in the triviality of things or in the details of things. We can get caught up in our own fastidiousness. We love to be in the details. But if you're going to be effective and if you're going to really begin to get results, you've got to learn what you can hold and what you can give away, what you can do and what you can share, what you need to deal with and what you need to delegate. And this is a real challenge for many of us. What do I delegate and what do I deal with? We're coming out of a system where we deal with everything. Our hands are on everything. We solve everything. We answer every phone call. We respond to every text. We respond to every email. We hold every meeting. We chair our hands are on everything. Now, your hands can be on everything, but your hands don't have to be in everything. Somebody hear that? Your hands don't have to be in. It can be on it, but it doesn't always have to be in it, because if you're really going to grow to your capacity, and if you're really going to go to the next level, next dimension, do things in a more excellent way with effectiveness and results and outcomes that you can measure and growth that you can recognize and quantify, at some point in time, you're going to have to share this vision. And you're going to have to share it in such a way that others can understand. So the simple steps of this, first of all, you got to write the vision, write the priorities, write it. Write it in such a way that not only do you understand it, other people understand it. So writing the vision is essential. What's in my heart and what's in my head? 3 things you got to figure out and how to write. What's in my head, what's in my heart, what's in my hand. What's in my head, what's in my heart, what's in my hand. And understanding the different dimensions of that is going to be a real strong step to you being able to do things and release things so that you can grow and feel free, and then remove the pressure and the tension and the oppression that comes with doing something good. There's nothing worse than doing something good that you love, but it's tense to do it and it's hard to do it. We have to try and relieve ourselves from those kinds of energies so that we can really begin to do the things that we need to do. So you've got to write the vision, write it, make it plain, write it so that it's understandable, not just to you. Some things are understandable to you, but you've got to write it for the other person. Have you ever picked up a manual to read instructions and just been lost because the person who wrote the manual was writing it with information still in their head that they had not shared in the production? Everything has to come out so it can be clear, so that the steps are detailed. The instructions are detailed, the priorities are detailed, and not just writing the why. I think sometimes if we don't bring people into the why, and this is why the training is going to be key. If we don't bring people into the why, it's going to be really hard for us to begin to measure our progress, because sometimes you can train what to do, but the most essential thing is to train why do we do these things. The first why you have to answer is your own why. Why am I doing this? What's my passion level for this? What's my integrity, my discipline towards this? Because if we don't understand what the why is, and you oftentimes have to remember what the why is, remind yourself of what your why is. Your why should be taped up around everywhere you are, on the refrigerator, in your room, in the bathroom. Remember what the why is, because sometimes the sheer weight of the work and the sheer weight of the assignment, the sheer weight of the responsibility sometimes can make the why, you can lose your why. And if you ever lose your why, listen to this, if you lose your why, you'll lose your way. If you lose your why, you will lose your way. You've got to make sure that your why is ever in front of you. So you've got to write the vision and make it plain. It's got to be so plain that someone else can see the heart that you have for this thing, and be able to follow that. That's why every instructional manual is written in a certain way, because it does not assume that the person reading the manual understands or knows anything. Write it as if you're talking to a 3-year-old, because in order to make effective decisions, in order to be in a position to be able to delegate, give some of this stuff away so that you can collectively get to the next phase of what you want to do. It's got to be, you can't spend all of your life writing the vision, then explaining it. If you got to explain it, you haven't written it well. If you have to spend meeting after meeting trying to get people to understand what is it that you've written, then of course, this is counterproductive, right? So you've got to write the vision, make it plain, because you have to bring others. Here's the reason why you have to bring others: because your ideas are greater than you. Your vision is greater than you. The things that you want to do are greater than you. And if you're the only one that understands what needs to be done, you are limiting yourself, limiting your vision, limiting your opportunities. You're limiting your increase because you are not yet allowed yourself to duplicate what you know and share it in a vision so others can help you. All of us need help. All of us need help. And so part of this is, how do I deal with it, or do I delegate it? You're only going to know that if you write the priorities down. There are some things that are essential that only you can handle as the dreamer, as the visionary of your thing, of your business. You're the only one who's going to be able to do that. You can't give away heart. You can't give away those decisions that are the things that make the engine of the thing. But there are other duties and other responsibilities and other tasks that you have to learn how to share. And so this is really the selfishness of business. You've got to learn how to share. You've got to learn how to share and supervise, share and observe, share and share and assess. Because unless you start stepping back and developing these other kinds of oversight skills, you're always going to want to get your hands on it. And in worst case scenarios, you will share it and still end up redoing it because it was not done in the way that you approved, because you didn't train it right. You didn't share it right. And so delegating it, but dealing with it, but delegating it are skills that all of us really absolutely need to have. And so you've got to start making some decisions. Here are the things that I need to deal with and only you can deal with. But here are the things that are less essential but still important. They're less essential but still important. And if you don't make that distinction between what's essential and important, then you'll always want to have your hands on things, trying to get things done, which can be shared by a team. There are people waiting to help you. Really, there are brilliant, professional, bright individuals that are waiting to help you to do this. But until you can articulate this in a way so that you can help to share the vision or delegate the idea, share the business plan so it's clear. Right? Write the business plan so it's clear. What do you hope to achieve in year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Make it plain. What are your expectations from the things that you delegate? Because if there's not an expectation on it, you'll get back exactly what you didn't expect because you didn't put an expectation on it in the first place. So stop being so frustrated and stop being so tense. It's up to you to write the vision so that you'll know then, what do I deal with and what do I delegate? And when you understand you and the things that you desire, when you understand what your expectations are, then you'll be able to distinguish what is essential and what is important, because there are essential things that you can't give away. But it's the important things, the less essential things that are still functional, that's still necessary for there to be production and for there to be work, that can be dealt with that way. And it's obvious that all of us need to do that. So this EmpowerTalk moment is just really to say, you got to learn how to deal with it or delegate it. And that's the question. Do I deal with it or do I delegate it? You can deal with the things that are essential, but you have to delegate the things that are important to the essentiality of what it is you're doing. All right. So I hope you get that. So think about what it is, write the vision, make it plain, and you're making it plain so that others can pick up what it is that your expectations are and help you to grow faster, to grow larger, to be better than what you are, to reach levels that you'd never reach by yourself. And sometimes it's lonely doing work by yourself, and you can get weary when you're doing good things, and things can become monotonous and things can become laborious and all those things. But in order for you to be more effective, even as an individual, and for you to be more empowered in what you're doing, figure out what's essential, figure out what's important, and then be able to bring other people. Can you bring other people into your vision? Do you know how to orient people into your stuff? Do you know how to enroll them in your belief system so that you can walk away from things that you've assigned and still not be nervous wreck as to whether or not they're getting done? In a sense, you've got to fall out of love with some things. You can't be in love with everything you do. You've got to fall out of love with some things and be able to share that and share that essentially so that everything you do can be productive. So go find your team and learn how to either deal with it or delegate it. Because once you learn how to delegate it, the sky's the limit. And now you have exponential growth. You have exponential results. You have exponential outcomes because it's not just you grinding, but there are others that are coming with you who understand what your expectations are. And you know who they are. You know what's to be done. And at the end of the day, you can realize your growth and see the efforts of your hard work. So learn. This is my Empower Talk podcast to you today. Learn how to deal with it and then learn how to delegate it because you've got places to go and you need people to help you get there. I'll see you the next time on the Empower Talk podcast with PJ.